Riedling Regency Meat Packers is recalling several beef products because they may contain E. coli. The beef came from Ontario, Canada, and was exported to several U.S. states, including Pennsylvania.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture is warning people about ground beef that may be contaminated with E. coli. The beef was sold in 1-pound vacuum-packed packages labeled Organic Rancher Organic Ground Beef.
Your Memorial Day cookout could be ruined before you even light the grill. At one major discount chain, a former employee said raw chicken and ground beef were left sitting at room temperature overnight after a cooler failed. Their caption? / I guess salmonella is on sale / that's not just a bad joke.
Ground beef products that may be contaminated. The government has issued an alert about meat from the Greater Omaha Packing Company. Some of it has tested positive for E. coli. The beef was produced last month with a freeze-by date of yesterday.
Some of the products include ShopRite hamburgers and Landis brand beef patties. We have a complete list of the affected products and their produced on dates on kdka.com/recalls.
It points to a hidden problem across several popular grocery stores. Before you shop for burgers or ribs, you need to know which stores are quietly gambling with your family's safety. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
There's a new concern over E. coli now. More than 160,000 pounds of fresh and frozen ground beef products shipped to restaurants nationwide are now being recalled due to a potential contamination.
In Detroit. Symptoms began between November 2nd and the 10th, and this is the same strain linked to that McDonald's onion case. Wolverine Packing is the name of the company that distributed this meat.
Feels like we've been talking about E. coli for months now, Christine. What can you tell us about this latest recall?
Important information for consumers about their food safety. We're talking about 165,000 pounds of ground beef, 15 cases in Minnesota, and investigators there linked it back to a distributor.
You expect to find spoiled rations on an abandoned ship, not in the refrigerated aisle of your grocery store. The bright lights, the clean floors, and the illusion of order all work together to put people at ease. But meat doesn't always spoil in a way that's easy to recognize. By the time it reaches the case, the most important details that determine safety, how long it sat out, whether the cold chain was broken, or if it was repackaged to disguise age, are hidden completely from the naked eye.
This meat was sent mostly to restaurants, we think. So the concern among food safety officials is it could still be in freezers.
Yeah, I was going to say, or even, people freeze their meat, you get a good price, you freeze it.
Absolutely. And this is what they say. They've notified all customers that receive the product. They're going to conduct an intensive internal review to fully figure out where it went and make sure that they have the highest standards of production.
So how do you know? Is there
absolutely.
a lot number or something?
Yep. So these are going to be with a use-by date of November 14th. So look at that on the packaging. These are frozen products with an October 22 production date. That's according to the USDA.
That leaves customers with nothing but trust, and trust is a fragile thing once stories start to surface. One of the most alarming cases came when a former discount store employee went online to describe what happened during a refrigeration failure. Raw chicken and beef, already processed for sale, sat out on pallets overnight. With no clear policy and no oversight, it was put back on display by the dawn shift.
You can go to the USDA and FDA website just to make sure that if you are a business owner and you think you have this in your freezers, you need to get rid of this. And this is about 100 plus fresh and frozen ground beef products. We're talking brands like 1855 Beef, Davis Creek Meals, Farmer's Choice. You can see them all there.
For a shopper scanning prices the next morning, there was no way to tell. Photos from that post spread quickly, pulling thousands of comments from customers who realized the place they bought groceries might have gambled with their health. It wasn't just the idea that the meat could have been spoiled. It was the realization that no customer would ever know until it was too late. The backlash didn't stop there. Walmart stores came under scrutiny when former workers explained how some managers instructed staff to repackage ground beef. Instead of throwing away discolored or nearing expiration product, it was blended with fresh batches or relabeled with a new sticker. By morning, it looked like a brand new roll of ground beef at full price. A family planning burgers would take it home, completely unaware that several pounds of that meat were already past their original expiration.
Federal regulators are recalling 167,000 pounds of fresh and frozen beef over possible E. coli contamination. At least 15 cases of illness have been reported in Minnesota and traced back to the Wolverine Packing Company in Michigan.
But they're, of course, taking a closer look at ground beef everywhere. Just to be careful here, this company shipped to restaurants across the country. So right now there's still a lot of work being done to investigate where exactly this ground beef may be at. Yeah, Elizabeth, authorities are following this outbreak very closely. As you mentioned, right now they believe all of this impacted ground beef originated in Detroit at the Wolverine Packing Company.
The practice was subtle, but for those who worked behind the counter, it was a regular part of the routine. Stories like these destroy the thin line between marketing words like fresh and what customers actually bring home to cook. The risks go beyond taste or quality. Scientists point to what they call the temperature danger zone for meat, anywhere between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Within that range, bacteria like Salmonella or E. coli can double in numbers every 20 minutes. That means if raw chicken sits at room temperature for just 2 hours, the bacterial load could increase 16-fold. Refrigeration is supposed to stop that growth, and strict storage procedures are the barrier between dinner and disaster. When those procedures break down, contamination advances invisibly. People assume a sealed package guarantees safety, but the seal only hides the story of how it was handled in the back room.
Don't forget, there was also the Boar's Head Listeria outbreak over the summer. Officials at this point are saying there's no reason for to be overly concerned about these outbreaks. They say for information to just try to stay on top of this, and it is a lot as a consumer to sort of get straight in your mind. One of the reasons why we're seeing or hearing more about them is because we have gotten better at testing for these outbreaks, but they are reminding people to really pay attention, to check that those websites, those government websites, the CDC websites, the FDA websites.
This was exactly what former staff at Trader Joe's and Sprouts described. At both stores, insiders said shipments sometimes stayed on loading docks for close to an hour before being moved into coolers, especially during busy afternoons. Meat would technically be sealed the whole time, yet the internal temperature could rise into dangerous territory before the package ever hit the shelf. Other employees said old cuts that smelled slightly off were coated with new marinades or seasoning blends to mask the odor. For a customer picking up rosemary chicken breasts or peppercorn steak tips, the illusion of freshness came with a risk they couldn't see, and that illusion was strongest in chains known for their premium image. The thread tying all of these cases together is sobering. Whether the store hangs banners promising rock-bottom prices or prides itself on a boutique shopping experience, the meat counter can be compromised the same way. A low-income shopper at a discount store faces the same danger as a health-conscious buyer at a high-end chain. Cost does not shield anyone from foodborne illness. The issue isn't whether a store looks trustworthy, it's whether the practices behind the scenes actually deserve that trust. That's where awareness comes into play. Spoiled or mishandled meat almost never announces itself loudly. It doesn't have a warning label or a flashing sign about